It's time for the movie raid, and tonight's victim is actor, producer Peter Anthony that is currently in Friday the 13th Vengeance. Hello.
What's going on, buddy?
So, tell me a little bit more about your character in Friday the 13th Vengeance.
I'm playing a character called Ken Slate. I'm part of the prison chain gang. So there's about, I don't forgot the exact number, but about 6-7 of us on the chain gang, and I'll be in the orange DLC scrubs, and we have an encounter with Jason Voorhees.
Nice. Now, as this group actually, do they have some screen time, or are these guys, including yourself, victims, or is that going to be a surprise for us?
We'll all have some screen time. I'm actually the lead prisoner, so I think I have a little more screen time at the end, and I have a big battle with Jason Voorhees, Jason Brooks playing. So it's pretty epic. We've got a kill lined up for me in that. That's going to take some molding. Going to be very good.
As far as popularity goes, this is already becoming a mass popularity with fans of Friday the 13th. Do you think this is a really good breath of fresh air to the Friday the 13th fans? Do you think this is really a special thing for the fans themselves compared to all the films that's already been released over the last billion decades?
Yeah, I do. I think because, as you know, the litigation problem Friday the 13th, and the studio's not wanting to put out movies, and now who knows? I mean, it's been since, 2009, since we've had a movie, and now with issues with Victor Miller and the lawsuits, who knows when we're going to get one? And the fans are pissed, and I think it's a great time. That's why you're seeing all these fan films pop up. And as far as ours differentiating itself, man, do we have a story? We have parts of the story that fill in canon that nobody ever talked about before. What happened here? What happened with Jason here? What happened with Elias, the father? As you know, Elias is in the movie, played by C.J. Graham, and it is just so well written by Mike Mead and directed by Jeremy Brown, and it's just, I'm so excited I can't even talk about it. But it's really gonna grab fans by the throat and wake them up and say, wow, look at this. I think it's gonna go down, and people are always gonna talk about this movie, this fan film, as being part of the canon of the series.
Very nice. Can you tell us the location where this is actually taking place?
Multiple locations. The main location, as far as the campground and such, is just outside of Seattle, Washington. The scenes with Steve Dash, those were filmed in Florida, close to his home at a police station. And I don't know, there might be a third location just for another actor, but mostly it's in the Seattle area.
Are we going to the traditional route? Are we still going to have the sex scene as well? Is this totally, completely a little outworldly compared to all the other ones in the past?
Yeah, it's going to have a sex scene for sure. I know of that one. Written very well. It's written very smart, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it.
Now, the cast keeps on growing. I mean, how many people has already been signing up to this project already?
We got Steve Dash, may he rest in peace, played Officer Riolotti. C.J. Graham, legendary C.J. Graham from Friday the 13th Part 6. He's playing Elias Voorhees, Jason's father, which was actually written into Part 6 and then written out and never in the final screening. We have Tom McLaughlin, the director of Part 6, who's helping out. He's not officially directing, but he's there to help guide us. It's exciting, man.
Yeah, and the fact that with this film, compared to, there are other films out there, there's like one that's Voorhees. I mean, it seems like they're just popping up everywhere because it seems like they're almost retaliating because, like you mentioned, with the studio just not putting out any new material for Friday the 13th, because to me, they're not allowing these independent filmmakers to give a fresh look without actually having to ruin the image or ruin the story or anything with Friday the 13th, because this thing has been around forever, and there's so many people that love this film, that love Jason Voorhees, and wants to see him kick some ass again. And having these big time companies, for some reason, they just like to screw it up. They rather just focus on the money part rather than the story and the outcome of everything.
Yeah, especially the last one. So originally it was supposed to be 2015. It was supposed to be the new one. Then it was pushed to 16 because of a new writer. Then pushed to 17. And I don't know if you remember, but the reason why they canceled it in 17 is because the movie Rings came out and did poorly, and we were just blown away. We're like, Rings has nothing to do with the fan base or the history of Friday the 13th. They're completely different fans. I can't see Rings having a poor outing affecting Friday the 13th at all. I thought it was stupid because the game just came out. The game had much success. All these conventions now are doing photo ops with all the Jason. It seemed to have more buzz than ever. So we were pissed off. I'm sure you are too, that they just kind of cut it on us like that.
It almost seems they're just not caring as much anymore, not really putting as much effort, because they're so focused on these other projects that they have releasing, trying to put money out that, and then they just lose out money on the one thing that everybody really does want.
I agree. And the weird thing is that the 2009 film made $100 million. And I think because of, like you said, Paramount and New Line not coming out with these films, you have a small filmmaker like Blumhouse. So look at them. They've come out of nowhere and become a big dog now. I mean, they made the last Halloween remake, what was that, 10 million, 20 million they made that for? And look at how great that did. So, and Blumhouse just talked about wanting to make the new Friday the 13th. So I think that they wouldn't exist if what didn't happen, what you said didn't happen. If these big studios were producing movies, they wouldn't have no room for somebody like Blumhouse or these fan films. It's almost like horror, sadly, is on the back burner sometimes for these studios. Right? And look at the conventions. These things are sold out. They're humongous. They're massive. There's more and more conventions from 5 years ago that I've ever seen. There was like a couple here and there. Now there's like 30 huge ones, everywhere, even in Canada. I don't think that they understand that these fans are starving for this material, They just don't get it, it seems.
Yeah, and it's not just like just releasing the film just because of a trend, just because, oh, well, it's an existing franchise, you think you're just going to make bank off it, but there's much more to that, because with these fans emerging every year or being introduced to these older films, they want something fresh, they want something out there. I mean, that's why we kind of have to look toward these independent filmmakers, because it seems less is more, and I mean that in a positive way.
Right. No, I agree. But I think that's why the independent ones are thriving, because when you have the vision and the love and the dream of, let's say, the director, the producer, there's no one above them. So if they say, hey, let's gather some money, let's do a Kickstarter, let's make this movie, they're the final say. Where even if you had that same kind of passionate director or producer, you then have the studios at the end of the day, and you're right, they just want to make money. So that dream, that vision gets killed, or if it's not slotted in the right month of the day for release, they don't care. They think they won't make money, and they won't do it.
Yeah, and when you see like franchises and sequels, I mean, they normally keep going, and then some of them do become more popular, and oftentimes they sometimes do become profitable. But do you think going backward is really a better move for these companies to do? Because I've noticed a lot of these well-known franchises are going back, like they're squeezing in a sequel, but they're putting it in between existing sequels. I mean, do you think that's kind of lacking storytelling?
I do. Do you mean remakes? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, remakes or a sequel, and they squeeze it in between 2 and 3, and they literally ignore the rest of the saga.
Yeah. Yeah. Jason X was squeezed in. They even admitted that they squeezed in the X before they did Freddy vs. Jason. So yeah, I agree. And it doesn't make any sense, because you're trying to squeeze in. You're scared to make a movie because you're scared to lose. Yet you put a weak product out just to squeeze it in to give the fans something. Right now, in my lifetime, 42 years old, huge Friday the 13th fan, I do not recall or remember a time where somebody wants a Friday the 13th film more than now. How about you?
I definitely agree with you there. I mean, Friday the 13th or even Halloween. I mean, look at Halloween now, because now, in fact, you got John Carpenter coming back doing this. And Jamie Lee Curtis. Some people may disagree. It's like, oh, great, we're going to... No, I mean, not only that, you even got the original Nick Castle! Nick Castle!
Yeah. Did you, if I may ask you a question, did you watch the new Halloween? What did you think?
I've only been, unfortunately, I did not see the full version of that, but I've been seeing a lot of the trailers, and from what I saw, I mean, it looked pretty good. I mean, at first I was like, okay, is this basically just because you just want to do another Final Stand? But my reaction to the actual trailer of this Halloween film was the fact that, why are we ignoring for the rest of the of the sequels? Why is this just suddenly squeezed in right after 2? I mean, I don't, that's part I don't understand. It's like, I think this is a great battle, but I think it's so late, but, is it deserving? Sure, but it was so late in the game. How are people supposed to follow the rest of the saga here when you just squeeze this in behind the other ones?
Right, and that's either the third or fourth timeline for Halloween, because there's been different timelines for Halloweens. There's the one with H2O, there's the original one, there's this one. So there's like 3 or 4 different timelines that Halloween is broken out to. I agree. But I did like the remake. They paid great homage to all the films in there. I think they did it right. Michael's very brutal in there in that one scene where they never cut. I liked it. Some people didn't like it, and I said, you can't expect it to be the original. It's never going to be that. But as far as a Michael feel, I think it definitely had that.
Yeah, presentation is a huge thing, but several ways of how it's presented. You can present it, the straight, old school, horror based, and sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't. Or you want to do the more profitable approach and have someone famous and stick him in the mask, and yep, that's it, and then try to make have like an icon cast. And honestly, in my opinion, man, that doesn't make the horror film, just because you have a bigger, great talent that isn't really known in this type of arena.
That's what's also great about our stars, about CJ and Steve. They forego their paychecks. They donated their paychecks to the Children's Hospital, and we were blown away by that. That was the first thing they did. They didn't even want money. They wanted to do this fan film. They wanted to do it for the fans, and they didn't want any money for it. So, I mean, it's a win-win with that. How can you get better than that? It's actually the Shriners Children's Hospital, too.
it helps benefit the film, and it also helps benefit of the charity of your choice, and it helps everybody, and it also gets the fans involved. And when you have that kind of passion, when you have that kind of commitment, which is very rare now, when all these films keep coming out, all these newer films, and either bombing or maybe be popular at the box office, and that's it. But when you have all those things involved, that makes the greatest film of all time, man.
I agree, and the passion is there. I mean, me and Jason Brooks, who plays Jason Voorhees, and Jeremy Brown, the director, we talk daily. There's an app called Marco Polo, which is a visual app. We're constantly just going back and forth. I'm going back and forth with marketing ideas. Jason's throwing in ideas for the script, and I don't know if you know Mick Strawn is a production designer. He was on Nightmare on Elm Street, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, so we had him on set. So it just, all of these guys have come together with their passion, and it's just every day we kind of grow and we get better. And we just finalized the script. It's like the 5th script because they keep getting better and better at it. So it's exciting. It's an exciting time.
You gotta take a break from these franchises. Like, okay, Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, top, biggest household names in horror and cinema in general, okay? But having to release films of these, like, every, let's say, 2 years or whatever, you're exhausting the entire thing. You're exhausting the character. You're not making the character or characters or even the storyline as interesting anymore, because what you're doing is you're just milking it so much to the point where it's just not interesting anymore. It's just, okay, so what? He's going to get killed. Okay, he's not going to get killed this time. Okay, it's the same thing over and over and over. It's too repetitive. I mean, take a break.
That's why they try to change it up with like Jason and space and stuff, and it just fails. I think you're right. At some point, they lose material. They don't know where to go with it.
Yeah, and that's why, like, with Friday the 13th Vengeance, from the buzz with this is, I consider this as like an in between the films, because you don't know exactly pinpoint where it's at. You know, it's like in between, let's say, Jason Lives, right, because of the look of the film, or somewhere else. But it's almost like it's a new chapter that we've never seen before.
You're right, and we are going to jump around in timelines.
Yeah, and I love that. I mean, keeping it interesting like that, rather than just a straightforward sequel. But again, with sequels coming out, it's not a sequel anymore. You're just reliving the exact same moment and reliving the exact same thing. And of course, there's I'm sure you've always seen or heard the word nostalgia every time we're nostalgic. Well, that's good, but it's also bad at the same time, because now you're just put it in there as a product placement now.
I agree. And I know Jason and Mike Mead and Jeremy are huge on that. Why is this character in here? What do they add to the film? How is it part of the arc? Where are they going? Do they have meaning? Do people care about them if they live or die?
Yeah, and sometimes even the bigger studios try to focus a little bit too personal on these icons, like Jason, because with Jason we get a glimpse of what happened. Okay, we know about Pamela, we know a little bit about the father, but sometimes the mystery is really what makes it more interesting, because here's Jason, here's a bona fide killer, okay, who was brought back from the most powerful voodoo in the face of the planet, and all he does is kill, and I'm assuming that's all he thinks about is his mom telling him kill, 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 no matter what, whoever steps into that area, and that's what he does. He becomes more efficient, and I've said this before as well, that it's an evolution of Jason. He learns as he goes. He, like in the earlier films, you see him kind of screw up on the second film. You see him jump on this chair, and he was going to go ahead and stab the girl in the bed, and he falls right through the chair. So,
yeah, that was a great scene. She pees herself under the bed.
It was.
Yeah. It's funny because you have fan bases that, I agree, more like you, where they don't want to know the story of the killer. Some do like it, but I agree. Like, that's why a lot of people didn't like the Rob Zombie Halloween remake, where you saw him as a child. I thought it was okay, but a lot of people just hate it. They almost just want to see him as a machine, like you said, like Jason, just a one-minded, one-track killer, and that's it.
Like with Leatherface, for example. Okay, pretty much by now, at least I want to say safely that everyone will know what his story is. But at the same time, every time they release a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film, guess what? It's the exact same persona. We know what he does. Every film that comes out for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it just shows a little bit more of Leatherface. But that's all it ever ends up as. It never goes any further than that.
That's why I think you have to have great character development around characters like that. So like a Leatherface, he doesn't speak. So, in the original one, you had the family, and the family was badass and scary and crazy, and then he was just an addition to that. I don't like when they make him the whole film, because he doesn't talk, so you don't know what he's really feeling or what's going on, and I think, like you said, it gets mundane. It's just like Brock Lesnar, let's say, in wrestling. He's not a great talker, so what happens? He has his manager come out and talk for him. Same kind of thing, I think. I think you have to build. That's why the original Friday the 13th was so great, because because you had a Jimmy, you had, Tommy Jarvis, you had these other people that you cared for that were part of the whole lineage of the movies. I think if you just have the killer by himself with no one that you care about or is not part of the storyline, then it doesn't really matter. It doesn't scare you. It's not as interesting.
We got some fan questions right here, right now. So we're going to start with Joseph Caban. What do you consider before looking for people to invest in a film?
I guess in this one with the Kickstarter, the way that we're trying to reach a fan base is to win over the fan base. So with our investors, which is basically the Kickstarter, we were trying to tell our story to them and say, listen, this is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. These are the people we've landed. We care. We love the series. We care about the fans. We love the fans. I think we interact with the fans more than other fan films, if I may say so. Just we personally care. I write to them. They write to me. We give away things. So I think that what the premise of that me and Jason Brooks were trying to do is to win the fans over with honesty and not gimmicks and not bullcrap. So, and then it's funny because the way we did it is we started to get real investors, and Joe Caban's one of them. He's phenomenal. He was a large Kickstarter backer. Sean Lautzis and others, once they saw what we're doing, Sean Lautzis was one of the guys who got the $10,000 backing. We had other guys, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000. They saw what we were doing, and that was our goal. Let's give them a real Friday the 13th product that they can love, that they want to be in. Because some of those perks are the actual people in the movie, and I think we succeeded with that.
Kelvin asks, aside from Friday the 13th, what other horror franchises would you be given a try?
Man, you know what the one is. I'd say, as far as me personally, Halloween, I think that Jeremy Brown and Jason Brooks and everybody involved, Jewel, I think everybody would be fine with Halloween. I mean, how could you have a problem with going there? I mean, if we didn't make a sequel to this one, I think if the team got back together, then Halloween would definitely be something we would want to tackle.
Now, Kelvin also asks, what more should fans expect after Friday the 13th Vengeance?
As far as us as a group?
I'm assuming as far as in general, once the film is completed.
Well, as far as a sequel, I think that's what they want to do. I don't know for sure. Jeremy Brown's the mastermind behind that. But as far as merchandise and stuff, once the film's released, we're going to have Blu-rays. We're going to have more merchandise as we go, Indiegogo for the fans, more rewards, a premiere, all that down the road. But as far as filmmaking, it's up to the master, Jeremy Brown. So what he wants to do next, if he decides to bring me back on, that'd be great. I'm sure the whole team would love to work with him again because we're really hoping it's successful. And like I said, if he wants to make a sequel to this, we're down. If he wants to go to something else like Halloween, I think we're down. But I think his heart is in Friday the 13th. But I guess time will tell.
Tim Cecil, would you ever be inclined to help produce other Friday the 13th films or just the current one you are with?
I've been asking, approached for others to help the one we talked about before we went on air now also, but I really don't want to. It's so time consuming. I don't want to let anybody down. I don't want to fail anybody. I would definitely be interested in help produce other fan films and horror films in the genre once this project is complete. Definitely.
Josh Johnson asks, how does it feel to share the screen with the likes of horror icon CJ Graham and the late Steve Dash, and how stoked are you to be added to the countless list of Jason Voorhees victims over the years?
Josh, it's such an honor. I mean, as a child, I grew up 6 years old. I'd be wearing the Jason mask in my basement. And as you know, back in the day, to be a horror fan like that, you were weird. You were an outcast. It's not as sexy, quote unquote, as it is today, and it's not so mainstream. It's almost like you were a goth kid 20 years ago. So it was almost like you were weird. So to grow up like that, and then meet my idol Kane Hodder and become friends with him, and then Jason Brooks bring me on board for this movie, and then work with and talk to on the phone with Steve Dash. And I didn't shoot with Steve Dash in Florida, but I know Jules did. Dustin went down, and Jason, and then I have a scene with Elias coming up with CJ Graham. It's like, it's funny because me and Jason will talk here, and then you got to pinch yourself. You're like, is this even happening? I can't believe this is even happening. So I almost don't want to go there with my mind because I don't want to just like lose it and become like a crazy thing, doing my job and focusing. But it's amazing. And what's more amazing is that people like what we're doing. It's like they get it that we're doing it for them, and everyone seems to like the direction we're going and the things we're doing with the film and how we involve the fans. So that's like a win-win because I'm a fan. That's what I want. And as far as being killed on screen, man, I went back to the gym, me and Jason. Jason Brooks, our Jason, he's 6'5". I'm only about 5'11", but I'm fairly stocky. So we choreographed the scene out where me and him are going to Gladys for a while. It's going to be a big battle of bad guys. Of course, I'm going to lose because you can't win versus Jason. But I'm excited to die in camera by Jason. I mean, it's almost like, hey, I can die now. I've died on camera to Jason. What else they're accomplishing in life?
Well, go ahead and plug in any websites or any projects, and go ahead, please. You even got a convention coming up of Friday the 13th Vigils. Isn't this your first fan-made one?
Yes, we have New Jersey HorrorCon coming up. I believe, forgive me, it's March 29th, 30th, and 31st in Atlantic City, New Jersey. And we'll have a table there, and there'll be a bunch of us there. Me, Jason Brooks, Jules, Dustin, forgive me, Bugsy from the Friday the 13th the video game. He'll be there. He's also in our movie. Forgive me because there's others that I'm missing, but there'll be a bunch of us. I think more people signed on, so I think there might be like 8 or 10 of us there. Sean Lousis will be there. He's a big producer, backer. It'll be fun. It'll be cool sitting at a table, sitting there. Your heroes are sitting around you doing the same thing. I mean, we want to get you down to New Jersey HorrorCon. What's the odds of that happening?
How well can you steal a car?
I don't know. I can't. I'm not good at stealing cars. I'm sure I can find someone for you. But yeah, man, it's an open invitation to you. I mean, you can stay with me. I think I'm getting a suite down there. So if you make it down there, that'd be great.
Oh man, you can imagine like that'd be like an all Friday 13th horror like Comic-Con type deal. It's like everyone's dressed like either a victim of Jason or Jason Voorhees. I mean, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, especially because you haven't met some of them or any of them. So it'd be great for you to go down there. New Jersey HorrorCon, and then we're going to be at, we don't have a table, but we're going to be, me and Jules Valenti are going to be at Monster Mania, and a bunch of the fans are going to go. I think that gentleman, Tim, that gave a question will be there, and we're going to have a huge giveaway. And we actually have a gentleman who is going to be our Vengeance Jason, so we're giving him a mask, and he's making the whole outfit right now. So when they do the cosplay contest that night, we're going to have a Vengeance Jason in that contest, and hopefully he wins.
Well, there you go. Any additional websites or anything that you want to share?
Just the Vengeance site on Facebook. We have the Vengeance site on Instagram. We have a Twitter, and I think everybody pretty much knows about it. That's it. We got to get you to a show.
Yes. It's a must. It's a must. I don't want to go to Metallica. No, I'd rather go to this. Well, there you have it, everyone. This is actor, producer, Peter Anthony.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.